Hello, everyone. This is day three of the 30 days of identity fundamentals. In today's topic, we'll be discussing about CIA and AAA. These are more of a very important topic on the cybersecurity side, and definitely that boils down, eventually flows through in the form of principles or framework into the identity and access management world. So let's recap day two. We did discuss about IAM's place in cybersecurity, what are the different domains and how different phases of IAM works. What is the IAM framework? And now today's focus is the principle on which the whole IAM is built upon, which is the CIA Triad and AAA. So every IAM policy, tools, and project traces back to these six letters moved into or divided into three letters separately. So first one we will be discussing about the CIA tried confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Again, this may be familiar with a lot of uh, professionals out there, but how do we tag this more into the identity access management world, and how do we use them on a day-to-day um, work that we do is what I'm going to discuss about. So, confidentiality. The primary goal of confidentiality is to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data. You need to ensure that your data is confidential. No one is able to have a look or get access to the data. The second is integrity, ensuring data isn't modified incorrectly. There should not be any tampering that happening on the data level. Okay, availability, ensuring that resources are available and accessible when needed. These three are the main reasons why we see there is a security breach or for any reason a breach happens, right? Either the confidentiality, integrity, or availability has been impacted, and that's where you see maybe the server is down or the data is leaked out there, or sometimes the data is modified. So these are the three reasons, and this is where we are discussing about CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So again, going a little bit deep dive into the security principle, confidentiality. Now, wherever we are setting up any of the application policy or identity and access management policies, right? Uh, you need to ensure that your system is ensuring that it is confidentiality, maintaining confidentiality. How do we ensure that? You need to ensure that only right people have the right level of access. If we start giving blanket access, it will ensure that anyone can access any type of sensitive data. So the goal of confidentiality is to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data. Let's discuss this a little bit. So whenever we are setting up any of the policies, right, RBAC, ABAC, you can name any of them, which we'll again discuss in the future. Any policies that you have set up on an IAM system. Okay. The eventual goal of setting this RBAC is ensuring that you're making sure confidentiality is in place. If you have to give blanket access, then there is no confidentiality, right? So RBAC, ABAC, or any group-based, role-based access that you're preventing, eventually you may say it as least privilege or zero trust, falling back to the same principle. You are preventing unauthorized access to sensitive data. Okay. Now, the other thing is because only right people have right level of access, okay, right people plus right access, then your integrity is also intact. Integrity ensures data isn't modified incorrectly. And you have monitoring systems. That's where you have PAM, which monitors each and every action you make on a server. Why are we doing this? Yes, compliance is one of the reason, but eventually it is tagging in back to the integrity. You need to ensure that none of the data is tampered without the right approval. Same on the application level, also you have user level, admin level access, and then you are constantly monitoring the application, right? You have reporting to ensure that the users have not been deleted. What you are ensuring that the integrity, whatever data was there, it is intact. There is no modification. Yes, modifications can be done with the right set of approval. And when you're working with on-prem system, why do you have multiple servers in one data center? You'll have one servers. Another data center, you'll have a different server, DC1, DC2. Underneath, you'll have different VMs set up, right? Just to ensure availability. Why do you need systems to be available? so that if anyone wants to access them, data should be available. Especially if you look at an e-commerce website, a retail website, a medical website, it has to be accessible. If it is down, there is a huge business loss. For that matter, any website or any application. So CIA is ensuring, um, is acting like a framework or a principle which is helping you set up policies within identity and access management or set up infrastructure policies in IAM. Why do we need multiple server structure, right? To ensure availability. Why do we have role-based access? To ensure confidentiality is there. Why do we need the entire monitoring and scanning of systems? To ensure that the integrity is intact. So we'll move on to the next one, which is the key IAM link. Confidentiality, again, summarizing what we discussed. Confidentiality is access reviews and least privilege. Integrity is logging, certifications, and strong controls. Availability is high uptime SLAs for IAM platform. And this is how, yes, CI is a broader cybersecurity term, but this is how you tag this within the identity and access management world. Then, in order to ensure this comprehensive security measures, you have confidentiality, ensuring data is protected from unauthorized access, integrity, maintaining data accuracy and reliability, and availability, guaranteeing services are accessible when needed. Let's move on to AAA, authentication, authorization, and accounting. The first example of authentication is, let's say you are a user, you get into an office, and a security person checks your ID card. Eventually, with the photo and your name written on it, you're trying to prove who you are. Going back to authentication. Once you have been approved on the gate and you get inside, you'll see multiple rooms or cubicles, right? And you either punch in here, or here. You cannot punch in every room. That's where what you can do with this access. If you belong to IT, you'll only be getting access to the IT room. If you belong to the payroll team, you get access to the payroll team. If you belong to the application team, you belong to the application room. So this is where you are ensuring authentication is you have proved who you are by showing a username, password, MFA, different methods that we use in an organization. And once you're inside, what level of access you can have is what we call as authorization. And while you're inside performing all the activities, everything will be tracked in the form of logs and pushed back to platforms like Splunk, Sentinel, right? This is where SIEM, you call them as SIEM systems, source systems. Okay. This is where AAA works in action. I mean, we'll further deep dive more into the jargons and complexities, but so far we can understand AAA means authentication, authorization, and accounting, and this is how it is tagged to an IAM system. AAA security principle. First one, authentication, proving your identity through login or MFA. Authorization, defining user permissions using RBAC or ABAC. And accounting is tracking user activity. So authentication, you have identity providers like Okta, AD, Ping, again, the login screen that you get. Authorization is where you have the SAP roles, application roles, workday roles, and accounting is a report used in the SOX and GDPR audit. Could be one of the examples. Now let's talk about real world use case, a scenario where a new employee has joined the HR department. Now, how do I tag them to the CIA and AAA, the CIA Triad and AAA framework? Confidentiality is the new employee should only be able to see the HR data, not the finance data. Okay, this should not be possible. Integrity access requests are logged and approved so that the new employee is not able to make any random changes, even by mistake. And availability is to ensure the login portal must be up for daily HR tasks for the new hire to function. AAA in action, the new employee should be able to log in via Okta Ping plus MFA. They should have the right role to log into the requested application, which is the SAP HR module, for example. And whatever they are doing, should be logged and stored for compliance reason. This is how you can see in a real world use case the use of CIA Triad and AAA. Now, as I discussed, I'll also be discussing some of the interview tips, and we will also be giving you some assignment, quick assignment that you can try it out. So, the first common question that we usually get during interviews or we should know is authentication and authorization. Authentication proves the identity, authorization decides access level. You can give the example of you entering the office or any other example where you are trying to log in into an application and then you only get the level of access that you have requested for. How does CIA Triad apply in IAM? Confidentiality, you can tag it to least privilege. Integrity to audit trails to ensure that you do not tamper the data. And availability is the SSO uptime. And always answer. So whenever you're going to an interview, right, always try to answer with a concept and an example. I see a lot of the time people just answering or telling one word answer. Let's say if they ask you about SAML, they'll say, okay, SAML is an authentication protocol. But do talk about different flows. Give an example. How do you integrate an application? That way, you will be able to actually build that trust with the interviewer. Quick assignment for this particular session. Pick up one application that you use at work, home, anywhere, right? It could be Gmail, any of the application that you're using in your organization also. Write down one example of confidentiality, integrity, availability, how AAA is applied to that system. For example, Gmail, confidentiality is only you can read your emails. Integrity, you cannot change any of the email when it has been sent, or you cannot even see others' email and go and change them. And availability is Gmail is always available to you. Okay. AAA, first you use username and password to log into Gmail, and you only have user level access. And then whatever you do, you'll find them in the history or in the logs of whomever you have sent all the emails. So like that, pick up one of the application, put this format from here till here in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.